Hi friends, and welcome to this Chanel Masterclass. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to create a classic Chanel makeup look for summer 2025 and some mistakes to avoid when you're creating a summer makeup look. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I love Chanel beauty, and for more than 10 years I've tried everything from Chanel makeup, skincare and fragrances, and that's why I feel confident to talk about the brand. I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks on how to use Chanel's beauty products, and I'm going to be sharing with you the best of Chanel beauty in my videos and on my channel. If that sounds interesting, please take a moment to subscribe and let's get started with our summer makeup look. Obviously, skincare is always going to come first, and to have a beautiful makeup, you need to prep your skin well. However, don't overdo it. And one of the first mistakes that a lot of people make in the summer months is using too many steps in their skincare routine before applying their makeup, and then everything starts to melt, especially if you live in a hot and humid climate. So less is more even with skincare. Try to avoid heavy creams and too many steps in your skincare routine, because obviously in the summer months you're most probably going to wear, and you should wear during the day, also SPF, and all of these layers are not going to look beautiful if you apply too much and too many products. Make sure to prep your skin according to your skin's needs and use lightweight products. For this video I have used the new serum in spray of Chanel from the Numero 1 de Chanel line, and I'm still testing this product. So far I really like it, and for my under eye area I'm using the Hydro Beauty under eye cream with the micro capsules, which is quite nice for my skin. Now that my skin has been well prepped, I've used already my skincare, I'm going to be moving on to my base. And I'm going to be using my favorite complexion product from Chanel. This is the Les Beiges Water Fresh Tint, and I'm mixing two colors, light and medium light, to get my perfect match. And I'm going to be using the brush that is included in the foundation, because I find that it really gets the job done. And I like to use this product also under my eyes, because I think that it is one of the best. It works as a concealer as well. If you apply it under the eyes, it is a water-based product that contains 70% water, and it works for all different skin types, even oily skin, because it is a water-based product. Now for me, the Water Fresh Tint is absolutely enough to give me enough coverage also under the eyes and all over the face, because I don't like heavier coverage. But if you have more things that you would like to cover, then you can add different foundation on top of the Water Fresh Tint, or alternatively, you can wait for a few minutes for the Water Fresh Tint to dry, and then you can apply a second layer. Another option is going to be to apply a different foundation and to use the Water Fresh Tint as a base. This also works very beautifully if you have more things that you would like to cover on the face. So I would say that the Les Beiges foundation from Chanel is an excellent choice to layer on top of the Water Fresh Tint if you want a more sophisticated coverage, because both of these foundations are water-based. Another good option to layer on top of the Water Fresh Tint is going to be the Les Beiges Complexion Touch or the Vita Lumiere Aqua Foundation. Again, one thing that you have to take into consideration when using the Water Fresh Tint in the summer is that you have to be careful what are the products that you're using underneath and on top of this product. This product is water-based, so just make sure that all of the products that you're using are going to be water-based. If you are using a oil-based product on top of this, like a foundation that is oil-based or any kind of face creams that are oil-based, you might experience some peeling, and maybe the products are not going to layer in the most beautiful way. And this applies to any kind of foundations and skincare that you're using. The next step is going to be optional. I'm going to set my face with some powder, loose powder. I'm using the loose powder from Chanel, and I'm going to be using the puff that comes inside the powder. And this one is optional. If you want, you can skip this step if you prefer to have a more glowy finish. But if you live in a hot and humid climate, then I would definitely suggest setting at least the center of the face, because it is going to give a more airbrushed effect, and it immediately erases pores and imperfections. Make sure to use a small amount of product and always take it on the back of the hand first. I also like to mattify the top lip, because I don't like when it's shiny. It's just not my thing. I know that some people like shiny finish on the top lip. I don't. And also right here in the center of the forehead, I'm working in small sections and really making sure to get this airbrushed effect. We're going to bring back the glow in a minute, so don't worry about that. Next, we're moving on to one of my favorite products, and this is the Oversized Les Beiges Healthy Glow Palette. I love this Trio Harmony from Chanel. My perfect color is light coral. I have one more, but I usually am going to use the light coral one. And we're going to lightly sculpt my face now. This is one of the best products from Chanel because it contains a very subtle highlighter, a bronzer, and a blush. And all of these oversized palettes are designed to create a healthy looking skin. The highlighter is barely there. It's quite subtle. I've had this palette for more than a year now, and it didn't get a hard pan. That's why I don't hesitate to recommend it to you. You can dip your brush between the bronzer and the highlighter, or between the bronzer and the blush, or you can just swirl all the three colors together. First, I like to dip my brush between the bronzer and the highlighter. I'm always going to take the excess on the back of my hand. So I'm first going to start sculpting my face. In circular motions, I'm going to just work the color into my skin to give myself a very light sculpted effect. And here, when you are using this kind of products, or in the summer when you're using bronzers or contouring products, one mistake that you could avoid, that I often see makeup artists use, is they are going to sculpt this part of the face where you naturally are going to have, the skin is going to be a little bit more hollow. Now, if you're 20 or 20 something years old, you can definitely go ahead and sculpt your face and use your sculpting powder right here on the temples as well. But if you're 30 plus years old, the way people age is this part here of the face is going to start becoming more hollow, and this is going to start around the age of 30, 35 years old. It all depends on your bone structure, but just keep in mind that as we get older, this bone here, this part becomes more hollow, and you don't want bronzer here because it is going to age you. It is going to make you look older, and I've discussed this multiple times with dermatologists even. This is one of the first signs of aging that is quite visible, and we don't even notice it very often. I see often makeup artists using this technique, but the models are usually going to be in their 20s and they have this round, super plump face. So for them, it is going to be justified. For us, everyone who is 30, 35 years old and more, avoid placing bronzer and darker products here. The opposite. It's better to apply something that is lighter here because it is going to bring a volume to the face. So I'm just lightly going to sculpt my face, and I want to really diffuse the color. I don't want to have harsh lines. And you're going to see today that the makeup that I'm creating today is going to be this very natural, healthy looking Chanel makeup look that Chanel is famous for. Next, with the same brush, I'm only taking the highlighter and going right here on the top of my cheekbone, just to emphasize the glow, but very lightly. It's going to be a very subtle look that is going to look lovely in natural light. Then I'm going back into the highlighter and bronzer and just creating my own face, sculpting my face, also on the nose. If you have a very high forehead, you can definitely go ahead and add a little bit of bronzer here. But if you don't have high forehead, then don't do this because your forehead is going to appear too small. So when you are applying bronzing powder, always make sure to take into consideration your own face. Then something that you can do, if you do not have this sharp bone here, you can go ahead and apply a little bit of bronzer on this part, just below the jawline here, to make it a little bit more sharp, because again, this is going to create the illusion of a more youthful skin. And you can probably see now that my skin looks quite natural, slightly bronzed, but it's barely there bronzer. Again, I'm using the same brush and I'm only going to dip into the blush. Again, taking fast the color on the back of my hand, and I'm going to apply a little bit of color to my cheeks. And then I'm going to show you my secret tip to achieve the most natural looking glowing skin with a long lasting blush, but that's going to be a little bit later in the video. So that's going to be for the face. Now we're moving on to eyes. For eyes, I'm going to be using one of the most beautiful eyeshadow palettes from Chanel, and this is the Les Beiges Natural Healthy Glow eyeshadow palette in medium. And the texture of the colors is beautiful. It's silky, smooth, gorgeous, and this one is suitable for beginners as well. I'm going to be taking the top shade here. It is a matte color. I'm taking it with a fluffy brush. I'm taking it on the back of my hand, and I'm going to use this color on the brow bone. And this is a matte color, and it's actually a lot more beautiful, in my opinion, to highlight the brow bone with a matte color instead of a highlighting color, because the highlighting color somehow looks a little bit dated, whereas the matte color, when you're using a matte color to highlight the brow bone, it always looks a lot more youthful, in my opinion. And I'm lightly going to apply this color also all over the eyelid and also in the inner corner of the eye to brighten my skin lightly. Next, with the same brush, I'm going to get the highlighting shade here. This one is gorgeous. And I'm going to take it on the back of my hand, and I'm going to apply this one all over my eyelid and up to the crease, and this brings such a beautiful color to the eye. It's slightly rosy and it's light reflective, but it doesn't have a lot of shimmery particles. So it looks very elegant and it's safe to be used for all ages. Next, with the same brush, I'm taking this very soft brown shade here, and I'm going to apply this color where my crease is. Now, if you have hooded eyes, you can go a little bit above the crease so that the color is going to be visible. And in the description box, I'm going to share with you a brush that is very suitable for people who have hooded eyes. I don't have it currently. I have it, but it's not with me at the moment. I'm taking a smaller brush and dipping into it's almost like a little bit more of a grayish, cool-toned brown shade. Applying this color close to the lash line on the outer part of my mobile eyelid, and I'm going to emphasize the crease a little bit more. Next, I'm taking a clean brush to blend everything. I'm using Stylo Ombre et Contour in electric brown, and I'm going to be using this one as an eyeliner to line my upper lash line close to the lash line. You can use this product as eyeshadow stick or as an eyeliner like I'm doing now. Now, once I've applied the eyeliner, I'm going to go back into the top two brown colors. I'm first taking the softer brown to emphasize the shape of my crease a little bit more. It's always going to be easier to find your crease and to emphasize the shape of your crease and perfect it once you apply the eyeliner, or even better, once you curl your eyelashes. Then it's going to be the easiest to find your crease. Then the deeper brown shade, and only close to in the very outer part of my crease. Next, I'm taking this deep graphite color, and I'm going to smudge taking it on the back of my hand fast, and I'm going to try and smudge the line here to make it a little bit softer. Before I curl my eyelashes, I'm taking this softer brown shade with a small Chanel brush again, and I'm going to place this color on the lower lash line. This is going to create a very soft shadow on my eyes. I think it's not going to be visible on camera, but in real life it just opens up the eyes and creates almost this more innocent, wide open eye look. Okay friends, we're moving on to mascara, and currently the best Chanel mascara is the Inimitable mascara. Currently Chanel have reformulated probably one of the best mascaras and my most repurchased mascaras, and this is Le Volume de Chanel. I do not like this one as much as I used to. It's not my favorite anymore, but this is this along with the Allure mascara are the only two Chanel mascaras that I currently have. But I'm going to write in the description and pop a photo here of my favorite Chanel mascara. I recommend this one, the Inimitable mascara, and not the new Le Volume de Chanel. I'm going to apply the new Le Volume de Chanel just to show you how it looks. And it's not bad, but if you're familiar with the old formulation of Chanel's Le Volume de Chanel mascara, you are probably going to be slightly disappointed by the new formulation. So let me show you. Somehow the new formula of Le Volume de Chanel is a little bit more liquidy. Doesn't make the lashes as impressive as the old one. They have changed something in the formula. I'm going to get a Q-tip and clean them. So this is the new Le Volume de Chanel, and unfortunately the old Le Volume de Chanel, mine is already quite old, so I can't do a comparison. So if you're familiar with the old formulation of Le Volume de Chanel, something that you might experience with the new formulation is that the new formula doesn't hold the curl as the old one. So that's why I'm not going to repurchase the Le Volume de Chanel anymore, probably, unless they reformulate it again, because I'm not quite happy with that. Okay friends, so this is with the second coat of mascara, and as you can see, probably the main issue here is going to be that the new Le Volume de Chanel mascara just doesn't hold the curl. Before I show you the trick that I promised in the beginning of the video for this glowing, beautiful, long-lasting blush skin, I am moving on to lips, and since this is a classic Chanel makeup look for summer 2025, I thought that we are going to be using a kind of a red lipstick. This is a red with a little bit of pink. It is more modern than the classic red lipstick, and I think it's a beautiful color, especially for the summer months. And this is Rouge Allure Velvet in number 46, Magnétique. And it's one of the most beautiful colors in my opinion. And I'm going to apply this slightly on my lips. So I'm going to apply this color lightly, and then I'm going to pass with my finger. So the whole idea here is to blur the lips and to create a cloud of color that is a lot more modern, and it's a lot more effortless because it's not going to be the high maintenance kind of red lip that we're used to. I also did peel a tissue and I wanted to blot, and you can adjust the shape of your lips if you want to and adjust the color. And then to finish off the look, I'm going to be using a Rouge Coco Gloss from Chanel, and this one is number 106. It is quite sparkly, youthful, and this is going to add this very youthful touch to the look. This light stain of lipstick before applying the Rouge Coco Gloss is going to make the lip color a lot more long-lasting. At the same time, my lips are quite moisturized and I'm getting the benefits of the volume that the Rouge Coco Gloss adds to the lips. You can experiment with all different kinds of colors, but I think that this is one of my favorite combinations for summer. And one last tip that I have for you for this very long lasting from morning until evening kind of glow is going to be applying a little bit of the Water Fresh blush on top of the powders that I've already applied to my face. This is going to make the makeup a lot more long lasting, and it's instantly going to bring back this fresh glow. I am currently going to be using the Water Fresh blush in light pink, light coral and warm pink are the three colors that match my skin tone. How to use the Water Fresh blush: never apply the Water Fresh blush directly onto the skin, directly onto your foundation. It looks best if applied on top of your powder as a last step of your makeup routine, because it instantly brings this freshness to the skin. And make sure to break the pigment on the back of your hand first, and break the pigment quite well on the back of your hand before going onto your face. A little goes a long way with the Water Fresh blush. You shouldn't apply too much, otherwise it is going to become a watery mess. So you don't want to move the have an eyelash. So you don't want to move the foundation or the powder that we've already applied and the bronzer and anything. We just want to have the benefit of this fresh looking young skin. So I'm going to take the product, it's on the brush, and I'm going to gently press it onto my skin. And that's how you apply it. And you can go as intense as you like. And this is going to stay all day long, and it gives a very natural, very fresh looking skin. I usually like to apply lightly from what's left on the brush also on my nose, because this is where we usually are going to get a little bit red during the day, and the whole look is going to be quite youthful. You may apply a little bit here on top as well, but don't add additional product. Just from what's left on the brush, it is going to be quite enough, one dip on the brush. And by applying the Water Fresh blush last, as a last step of your makeup routine, it is going to lock in all the makeup that you've already applied, and it almost sets the makeup into place, and it's going to be a lot more long lasting, and it's going to have this, it creates this very youthful kind of glow on the face, which is hard to replicate. It just takes years of my face. And I hope that you're going to try these techniques that I shared with you in this video. Thank you so much for watching and for joining my Chanel Masterclass, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, bye!